Hello and welcome back for another Uno Mas podcast. I am Whitney Kay, and today we're talking about something a little bit personal for me. I have been through a lot over the past couple years that I feel like I've been sharing with every single one of you. However, there's a piece of me that I've been a little bit quiet about, and we're going to talk about that today. So, over the past couple years, I've had my hands in several different types of businesses. As you know, I have a brand and digital marketing agency, as well as a business coach for female entrepreneurs and brands. And another piece of me is the fact that I have also been in the network marketing industry for over a decade now. And it's an industry that I'm hugely passionate about, that I absolutely love. And there's so many benefits to being a part of it, not just monetarily, but for the community, for the sisterhood, brotherhood, if you are a man, just the networking and how it's honestly fueled my agency and my other businesses outside of that industry. And with that being said, for the past 8 years, I was with a company, and I'm not going to name any companies, but many of which can assume or know me from these companies. So for the past 8 years, I was with a company, and I need to get comfortable because this is a hard conversation a little bit. So for the past 8 years, I was with a company. And I loved this company, and I loved the community and the friendships and the paycheck and the organization that I was able to build. And it was probably the most fun that I've had in this industry to date. And something, though, started to change. And it really started to change when my husband and I started to build our house here in Florida. We used to live in Texas, build our house in Texas. We were making another journey and another pivot in life, and we were coming here to Florida. And during the building process, which was a hellacious experience in itself, I started to kind of step away from this company. And at the same time, I had a new baby. So, that was when Kaylee was born. And then we were building this house. And there was just a lot of different changes in life movement happening, which caused me to kind of retract a little bit from the team and the organization that I had built with this company. And during that time, I was at peace with that. I felt like the Lord was taking me into another season of life, which he often does. And it was just what it was. Well, then fast forward, we move here. And I remember calling up my best friend at the time, through building this. And actually, my best friend for years, not at the time. I don't know why I said that, but she's been a really good friend and a best friend of mine for years. And she was in this business, in this company with me. And we, around the same time of me kind of pulling away, also had somewhat of a falling out. Not completely to the point where we weren't talking at all, but like stuff was just awkward. Like, have you ever had a falling out with a friend where you act like on the surface everything's fine, but there's something underneath that just isn't right, and you can't put your finger on it, but neither one of you really want to address it? That's kind of what was going on. So about a couple months ago, I mean, we've been in contact, but a couple months ago, I was like, you know what? I really want to get this business up and going again. I really want to give it my all. I'm ready to go back into it full force. And I need to have a conversation with her, though, because she is not only my best friend, but she's also my business partner in this. And I need to be on the right page with her in order to feel right about what it is that I was getting ready to do and getting my business up and going again. Not like it ever stopped, but like me giving myself to it fully. And so we scheduled a Zoom call, and we jumped on that call, and I cried, she cried. We squashed whatever weirdness was kind of going on, which ultimately, let me give you just a lesson here. I wish I would have addressed this sooner in a more humble heart, not with my guard up. Because if I had done this sooner with her, I feel like the awkwardness that we had between us would not have lasted as long as it did. Because when it came down to it, and we both were very open, and I was humble in sharing with her, why I felt this tension or awkwardness, it really came down to the fact that we were just going in two different directions in our life at that time. And we both felt a little off. And it wasn't directed at the person, it was something personal, but we directed it at the person unintentionally, which made us feel like we had to back away. So we had this conversation. We squashed the beef, so to say. And I was like, hey, I really want to get this up and going. And she's like, yeah, me too. I kind of stepped away a little bit as well. And so we were left this conversation both on the same page of like, hey, we're going to get this business up and going again. And we hang up the call and it's great. And then something just was not clicking for me. It wasn't with her, it was with this business, it was with this company. And I saw things a couple years ago, again, that I cannot disclose and I will choose not to disclose, but I saw things that made me uncomfortable, made me think, wow, is this really how business is done? Is this really how people have gotten to the top? Some people have gotten to the top. I did not align with certain things and it made me feel icky. And I think that in the back of my mind, I was still trying to just brush that aside. Like, it's okay. This happens everywhere, and don't worry about it. Just keep going. Like in my mind, I think that's what I was trying to do. But if I really wanted to face the realness of my feelings, I was having a problem with it. And so when I talked to my friend and about getting this business up and going, and we left the call and we were like, yeah, let's do it. There was this thing that was still sitting in my heart, in my stomach, in my gut. And maybe it was godly intuition. Maybe, it was God, having me face the reality of something's just not right here. And I just felt off. So I couldn't get it up and going, y'all. With everything in me, I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm checked out. And one of the problems that I have is in my past, when I'm checked out or disinterested, I cut things off. And I wanted to make sure that this time it was not because of my own feelings, but it was because the Lord was leading me in this direction. And let me tell you, this is so hard to discern because our fleshly desires oftentimes outweigh God's secret whisper in our life. And I had to go into some deep, serious prayer on what it was that He was directing me to, and what it was that I was truly feeling. And was it these fleshly desires of just being over it, annoyed, frustrated, not really excited? Were all my fleshly emotions overweighing or outweighing what God was directing me to? And so I went into prayer about this. Like, should I just close up shop? And then while all of this stuff was going on, another opportunity presented itself, an opportunity that did get me excited, an opportunity that would be completely different than what I'm currently doing. Now, mind you, I still have my agency and my coaching business. This is just one area of income that I tapped into years and years and years ago. And I have a love for the industry, for products in the industry, and just what this industry can do for people in their life and help fuel other businesses. So I still have my agency and everything going on there. And by the way, this is going wonderful at the moment. My agency has blown up since moving here to Florida. My coaching business is on fire. I am getting new clients, tons of referrals. My kids are in school. Life is already busy. So the thought of another opportunity coming when I'm already battling what I'm going to do with the one that I'm struggling with, I'm a little overwhelmed at this point. I'm like, this sounds great and this is wonderful, but I don't think I have the capacity or know how to be able to handle all of this all at once. And so I'm praying about that too. Like, Lord, I don't know why this opportunity is coming my way. Does this mean that I close this one off and close the door? I mean, I've been with this company for 8 years. I've made a great paycheck with this company. Yes, it's dwindled down because of where I'm at and the fact that I've kind of retracted a little bit in my business over the past 2 years. But at one point, I was making a really good paycheck with this company, and I had a global organization with this company. Are you telling me that this is where I need to be and where I need to walk away from? And do I need to go into this other opportunity? And how am I going to go into this other opportunity when I've got my agency and my coaching business and kids and life and family? And, I've stepped into a discipleship leadership role at our church, and I'm running that now. And it was a lot. And in times where there's a lot going on, it's very hard to hear where the Lord is pointing you because there's too much chaos. And that's why going in silence, sitting in prayer, sometimes not even saying anything, just sitting there and listening and waiting for him to talk to you is what I need most. And what I encourage most people to do is just sit in silence sometimes, because when the world is so chaotic, it is so hard to discern where you are intended to go, specifically where the Lord is leading you. And so during this phase of life, which honestly wasn't even that long ago, just a couple months ago, I was in some deep prayer. And so I got back on a phone call with my friend and I was like, look, I'm struggling, dude. Like, I am struggling to get this up and going again. I just don't feel right. And it's really hard for me to say this to you because I know that, like, you're my best friend and we're doing this business together and you're my leader and my mentor in this company right now. And I don't want to disappoint you. And when I said those words, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel the exact same way." Y'all, we had never had this conversation. It was almost like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the conversation you need to have, but you don't want to have because you don't want to disappoint the other person. And like we were both feeling the same way. And maybe that was part of where our like offness was with each other, is the fact that we were both feeling this, but felt like we couldn't talk to each other about it for certain reasons. And when this was all laid out on the table and we both felt this way, it was so refreshing. And it was nice to know that I wasn't alone. But then leaving that conversation, I was like, okay, again, is this just fleshly stuff that I'm experiencing? Lord, is this truly you? Are you lead? I mean, I know you lead everything, but is this truly you? Am I hearing you correctly? Is this where you're really wanting me to go? Is to step away from business A and jump into business B? Is this what I need to do? So y'all, I was struggling. I feel like I'm struggling even talking about this because it's a lot mentally. So I went into prayer and y'all, I was praying and I was not getting any answers. At least I didn't think I was getting any answers, or maybe because life was so chaotic around me, I was just not hearing the answers that the Lord was giving me. And then something happened. And this is where it gets flipping wild, okay? So I did take advantage of this opportunity. I signed up as a consultant with a waterless beauty company that I'm super excited about and helping them, launch this US market. They've been around for over 20 years. They're established, they're publicly traded on the stock market. There's so many benefits to just this company and the vision and what they're doing, and these products, oh my gosh, have blown me away. First and foremost, that's exactly why I jumped in as a consultant. Number one, because I wanted to try the products. I saw some really cool results and I was like, I need a discount. Jumped in. I was like, if they work for me, then we'll think about the business side. Y'all, they worked. Just ask me for my before and after pictures and let me show you 10 days of a before and after, and it will blow your mind. And it blew mine. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna come in as a consultant. I'm gonna take advantage of trying these products. And then I saw my results and I'm like, oh gosh, I even said if I saw really good results, I would have no problem talking about this opportunity, but I have to make a decision. So this was all part of me praying and me not hearing anything. And then I have a Bible study that I run out of my house every Tuesday. And we were at Bible study and the girls were like, hey, who's going to worship tomorrow night at church? And on Wednesdays, I know there's worship, I know there's Wednesday services, but I can never go because my husband works and I have my daughter here and there's no childcare at the church. And so I was like, typically I can never go. But this Wednesday, This particular Wednesday, my husband was like, "No, you can go. I'm probably gonna get off early, and yeah, you should be able to go, no problem." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Not thinking anything of it, right? I'm just going to worship with my girls. This happens every single week. I just so happen to not ever be able to go except this Wednesday. Isn't it funny how God works? So I go to worship that night with my girlfriends, and such an amazing experience, like, it is just it is one thing. I First of all, music is what drives me closer to the Lord, like, I feel most connected to Him when I am worshiping and listening to music. Some people feel differently, but that is where I connect, and I was in worship, we're all worshiping, and there's this one moment within worship that I went off to the side of the church, and I just got on my knees, and I put my hands up like this, and I was just praying, and I was asking the Lord to just set me free from, fleshly desires, to set me free from personal, opinions on things, but to give me clarity in where He is sending me, because He has moved me into so many different areas and directions over the past year that have been so abundantly overwhelming, but in such a good way that I'm at this point of not understanding really what He's wanting to do with me, and also feeling completely overwhelmed with what He's doing with me. And now, with what's been presented to me, not understanding or having full clarity of if this is just another thing He's giving me and handing me in my lap that I need to take a hold of and just go without having full understanding, but just pursuing it because this is godly driven and godly inspired. So I'm on my knees praying, like, Lord, please just show me. I want you to radically show me that this is you. Please speak to me tonight. Show me tonight that this is you. I need you to show up and have it undeniably be you that is speaking to me. And it's funny because our pastor was standing up and he felt God speak to him over certain people. And he would point out, like, this, there was this lady that he's like, I feel the Lord is pulling me to say something to you. And he would profess words of blessing and prosperity over her in her life or whatever issue she was going through. And then he would do it to somebody else. And I'm like, have this be me, like, call out to me. Like, I want, without me, initiating anything, I need you to speak to me. And I got nothing, not a nothing. I had a great time worshiping. It was beautiful. Had my moment, spending time with the Lord and my friends. And it was just great. And I'm leaving church, and because I am now in a leadership role at our church, and I have really inundated myself into our church community, it's not easy for me to get out of church without being stopped and having conversations with people. So as I'm leaving church, I get pulled over and I'm sitting down with, two of my other leaders at the church, and we're having a conversation. And then I get up and I go and I get stopped by the associate pastor, and we're having a conversation, and somebody else. And finally, I see my exit route, right? I'm like, okay, doors are open. I can skip out. I can go now. And by the way, I'm texting my husband the entire time, like, honey, I promise you, I'm coming home. I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back. And it's not like he was pushing me to come home. It's just like, that's just, as a mama, you're like, I'm okay. I promise I'm going to be home soon. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm weird. But, anyways, telling my husband I'm going to be home, and I'm leaving church and I'm walking out the doors. Like, I see my car in the parking lot. I'm walking out the doors and I hear Whitney. And I turn around and it's our senior pastor, Mark, and his wife, Amanda. And I'm like, hey, obviously getting stopped one more time. And he's like, hey, I just want to pray over you really quick. And I'm like, okay, this isn't the first time that he's wanted to pray over me. And I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take prayer where prayer is given. And so he's like, going to pray over you. But before I pray over you, I feel the Lord telling me something for you. Y'all, I leaned in and I was like, I did not say anything. And let me tell you this before I say this. Let me tell you this before I say this. That's funny. Let me tell you this. My pastor does not follow me on all social medias. He doesn't know, like, specifically Instagram. I know he follows me on Facebook, and I share different content on different social media platforms. On Instagram, in my stories, I've been a little bit more vocal about, me transitioning into a new business phase and kind of seeking other opportunities. And I've just shared a little bit more on Instagram. He doesn't follow me over there. He has no flipping clue what I am currently dealing with, what I have been in prayer for, what I have been struggling with, not a darn clue. So when he said what I'm about to tell you and he told me next, I was I was shook. I was stuck. Like I literally got stuck in time because he looks at me and he says, "I feel the Lord is telling me you." And I'll share a little bit. I'm not going to share everything because some of it is personal and private to me. Um, but he said, I feel the Lord is telling me to tell you that He hears you. You've been praying for something and a door has opened for you, or you've walked through a door, and He wants you to know that you need to lean in, that you need to step forward. But here's the thing, you have to keep Him at the center of everything that you do. And if you do that, the floodgates and the doors will open like you've never imagined. And you are about to step into something that even you could not imagine would be possible. It will be possible. And there was other things that he said that confirmed exactly what I was asking the Lord for in a way that blew my socks off. And I wasn't even wearing socks, but it blew my socks off my feet. Because I am not going to get emotional here. I had been praying and praying and praying, and I felt like I was getting nothing but silence. And oftentimes, when you do that, and you feel like you're not getting anything, it's the Lord's way of just not ready yet. Okay, not ready yet. But we're so hungry for answers and we're so hungry for the immediate answer that, or the immediateness of that answer, that we get really impatient and sometimes we jump without being told it's time to jump. And that is the hardest place to be in, is to just wait on an answer that you're not getting. But when you pray and you ask for Him to show up, He will show up in a way that flipping blows your socks off. And after my pastor was done, talking and praying, he looked at me and he's like, does that even make sense to you?" And I looked at his wife, Amanda, and I was like, "Does he do this all the time?" Because oh my gosh. Yeah, not only does it make sense to me, but it freaking freaks me out by how dead on and specific words you used. I was on my knees for in prayer during worship, asking God to show me in a radical, in my face type of way that was Him. And the words you just spoke over me and the words you just spoke to me were exactly that. So, y'all, I left that night. Now, mind you, I left that night not understanding what it is that I'm doing, not understanding what is to come, or getting full clarity or a direct answer, but I had confirmation that I was on the right path. I don't know the outcome. I don't know what is and will be to come other than, my eternity in heaven with my Lord and Savior. But in regards on this earth, do I know what these doors will open? Do I know what it will bring? Do I know what my business will look like? Do I know the trials and the tribulations or the successes and the prosperity that I will have by pursuing this avenue? No, I know none of that. And He didn't give me that. But what He did give me was confirmation that I am on the right path, confirmation that He hears me, confirmation that if I just continuously lean in and pursue Him, that He will show up undeniably for me in my life, as He was, as He is, and as He always will, and as He's always done for me when I have put Him forth and forward and first in my life. So I share this with you because there are many of us that are hesitant to make a shift, that are hesitant to ride the waves when the waves turn direction or the tides turn, right? We are hesitant to lean in because of our own fleshly desires or our own fleshly hesitations or our own just opinions on certain things. And all I can say is sometimes our flesh will not only lead us into the wrong direction, but it will keep us from pursuing the right direction. And if we don't seek God in these times of uncertainty, lack of clarity, in these times of need and understanding, then oftentimes we're going to allow our flesh to do what we think it wants to do and what we think is best for us. And oftentimes that's just not the case. And in this case, what I wanted to do is ultimately what the Lord was leading me into saying, yes, this is where I want you to go. But I was really struggling because I didn't know if that was my fleshly desire or if that was his desire for me in my life. Now, I'm not saying that what I'm stepping into is going to be all good, dandy, and great, and the best decision I've ever made in my life. Maybe this will lead me through trials and tribulations that will sharpen my tools and strengthen my skill set and lead me into a next phase in life that will be greater than what I'm currently walking into now. Who knows? But I'm not going to stress over it. All I know is that I am going by faith and trusting the Lord and where he's leading me, unlike anything I've ever done before. Because my entire life, I've gone after what I've wanted to do and what my flesh desires. And I will tell you more oftentimes than not, that has led me into some very bad situations and decisions that I cannot take back, but I have learned from. But moving forward, he is at the center. And I am so glad that I've put my faith in him over my plans that I have for myself. And so if you can walk away learning anything today, I encourage you to just sit in prayer. Ask him questions. Be bold. Don't be afraid to ask him to show up for you because he will. Just be prepared. It might be in a really crazy, weird, freaky deaky way, but such a cool, loving, confirming way that you've needed your entire life. So, if you have questions, just ask. If you have comments or experiences like this, please share them. I want to hear them. In fact, I might even have you come on the podcast so we can talk about them because this has been awesome. And I'm so excited for you guys to go on this next journey with me and for me to share more along the way with you. So, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. And I'll be back again next week.